So this video today is going to be useful if you are somebody who isn't very clear on how to take action for your human design type. And it's very common in the beginning because we've been so heavily conditioned societally. Thanks for the thumbs up. You can see me and hear me. We've been so heavily conditioned societally to take our ideas and run with them, to go and make them happen. And so it can be really tricky in the beginning of your journey with human design to know, well, do I not do anything? Like if you're another human design type other than a manifestor, or even as a manifestor, like what's the correct process, the correct set of steps in order to take aligned action so that you can like authentically express yourself, because you have things that you're here to say and do in this lifetime, but to also like not burn unnecessary energy from doing it in a way that is not energetically correct for you. So a question was asked on this video. I'll put it in the video after we're all done here, but it was manifestor with projected gates and channels. And on that question, on that video, the question was asked. It had two parts. So the first part of the question was, would you explain the urge experienced by a manifestor? Is it the same as having an idea to do something? Now, I answered that part of the question in this video, which I'll place afterwards, which was, is the manifestor urge the same as having an idea? So if you're a manifestor or you're trying to understand manifestors better, I highly recommend that you check out those two and/or the whole manifestor playlist I have here on the YouTube channel, which afterwards I can pop up here as well. The second part of the question, which is what I want to answer in this live today, was this: does that mean manifestors are the only type that can act on their ideas? So the first thing I want to reiterate, because I see so many newbies to human design trip over this, I see two main different kinds of behaviors that happen. People either worry about getting it right and they shut themselves down and they squash all their ideas down, they ignore their intuition, they don't honor their inspiration, they don't honor what their body's telling them, and they shut it all down trying to do it perfectly. Or they do the opposite and they rebel against the system. They go, yeah. Let me just like keep doing what I think I should do, or like, let me just thrash it out and try it anyway. Neither of them are good for your health, and neither of them are going to give you the result that you want. So I'm going to talk about all 5 processes. So I'm going to talk about split the population into our 5 types, and I'm going to talk about the process for each of the 5 types. Now, I want you to know that it is worth you listening through for your type. And if there is somebody that you are supporting, so whether it is your child or your partner, your business partner, if you're a human design coach and you're supporting somebody of another human design type that you don't understand very well, then I highly recommend that you listen through for their human design type as well, and as I walk through the process. The other thing I want you to know is that in the video description, I have linked 2 things, because you might listen to the bit of this video that you want and then bounce out, and that's completely fine because I honor your time. So in this video description, there is a link for all of the beginner video courses that I've done on human design. And even though they have been available for years, there are still people who find them like every week who have never found them before. So I want you to know they exist. So if you learn a little bit about, say, the reflector process, and then you're like, oh, I want to learn more, link in the description for the beginners courses, and then go through and find the reflector beginners course. There is also a link for one-on-one coaching. So if you're like, okay, that's great, you've given me this entry-level bit of information about me, now I want to understand how I'm different to all the, maybe you're a manifesting generator. How am I different to all of the other manifesting generators? How am I designed to take really aligned action for my specific chart? So the link for one-on-one coaching is in there, and that's what we can do. And I can look at your individual chart. So let's get into this. Let's start with manifestors. So the process for a manifestor is that you have some sort of internal clue. Now, this person used the word ideas. So usually when we're talking about ideas, we're talking about a mental process, like a mental visual something, right? But I want to extend it to say, like, yes, you can have an inspired idea, or you can have a concept, or you can get a visual of something, but you might also get a sense within your body. You might get an intuitive nudge. You might get a feeling to do something. So let's just broaden idea and say something happens internally and rises up as a desire or a clarity to create or do something. Now, as a manifestor, the process is to have this come up, to check in with your specific inner authority. And I have done other videos on inner authority. So just like search on the channel, use the little search bar within the channel to just search for inner authority, or like use the words for your type. Check in with your inner authority. And if it says yes, then it's time to go. And as you go and do the thing, you inform people, because that's your strategy as a manifestor. So you go and inform the people who you're going to impact with your actions, and then you go and do the thing, right? So this is why people are like, oh, manifestors are the only ones that can act on their ideas. And it's a very common understanding. That is the manifestor process, and it can be very fast. Next, let's talk about the generators, and then immediately afterwards, we're going to talk about the manifesting generators, because I want you to see how the manifesting generator is, we need part of the manifestor process and part of the generator process. So if you're a generator, you're still going to have ideas, and you're still allowed to act on them, but it needs to be with a specific set of steps. So as a generator, you're going to have a thing arise from within you that you can have any sort of name, or depends very much on your configuration. Some people will have a visual, intuitive sense of things. Some people will have a feeling, or a smell will trigger something that makes them, want to take action. As a generator, you'll have this arise. Sometimes it will arise all on its own. But sometimes what will happen is that something will come to you, and then you'll be able to respond to that. Now, you might have had an idea beforehand, and this is what I see a lot with generators. They've had an idea of something that they want to create, and then I remind them to wait until something in the 3D reality that you can see or hear or touch shows up, that you can then respond to, and it will give you either a direct single step, or it might give you several steps to get you towards acting on your idea. So you've had something to respond to in the 3D physical world. I often joke with my generator clients. I'm like, if your atheist neighbor down the road can't see or hear or touch or smell or taste the thing that you're talking about, it doesn't count, right? It has to be something you can experience in 3D reality. So as a generator, you've had something to respond to. It's going to take you steps closer towards this. Maybe one whole step, or maybe some steps in the right direction. And you're going to check in with your inner authority, which is either going to be sacral or emotional, right? Again, if you want me to do videos on those, first have a look on the channel. And if those don't spell it out clearly enough for you, then ask a question in the comment and I can do a whole video on those. So that's how you act on your ideas as a generator. Let's talk about the manifesting generator. You are one very big part generator, and you have a big paintbrush of manifestor in you. So, like the generator, you might have an idea. Your job is to hold the vision of this thing that you want to create and wait for something in your 3D reality to respond to. When that opportunity comes up, if your sacral says yes, and then if you're an emotional authority, you've waited a few days to make sure that it stays a yes as you travel through your emotional wave, then you can respond to that and get ready to take action. Again, like I was saying with the generator example, this thing that you're responding to might take you in one jump to creating the thing that you imagined, or maybe the vision of what you're imagining is so big that you need multiple things to respond to that will all be steps to take you there. Okay? Now, because you have a lot of power as a manifesting generator, when you go to take action, let's say you responded, your sacral said yes. If you're an emotional authority, it said yes over several days. You're like, go time, baby, let's go, right? Remember, that you have a lot of power when you move, a lot. That means you impact people. That means that, like the manifestor, you need to inform people. Hey, I'm going to do this now. I'll be back in an hour. Or, hey, I'm going to do this now. Please don't disturb me. I'll be as long as I'll be, and I'll come out when I'm done. Okay? So just informing. It's not about asking permission. It's just telling people what you need. And often, as a manifesting generator, like the manifestors, is that you just need time and space without being interrupted. Okay, let's do projectors. Projectors, of course, can act on their ideas, but like most of the other human design types, there is a series of steps. So you're going to have an idea, maybe something arises within you, intuitive, inspirational, something arises. You're going to get as clear as you can on the thing that you're like, okay, I'm being told to create this. I have this imagining of this, or I can't get this idea out of my head, whatever it is. Get as clear as you can on what it looks and feels and sounds like, and then wait for an invitation. Like I talked about with the generators and manifesting generators, it might be a single invitation that takes you straight to manifesting in 3D physical form the thing that you were imagining or sensing or feeling. And it might be that this invitation leads to this one, leads to this one, leads to this one, and then eventually you get there. You never know, right? You just have to work with, I'm trying to use my language really clearly here to be as clear as possible. Just work with the very next one step in front of you. And if it feels aligned, it's going to lead you to the next aligned step. Okay, so sometimes invitations can be very, very big and take you on a big quantum jump like that. And sometimes it'll just be this beautiful unlocking of each next step. Now, of course, like everyone, you've received an invitation. Check in with your inner authority. There are many different types of inner authorities for projectors, more than any of the other human design types. I have done videos on all of them, so you can use the keywords of your inner authority on the little, using the little search bar inside the YouTube, my YouTube channel. If I can link it here somehow, I will. And just use the little search bar to search for your specific inner authority if you're not super clear on it. Because just because you've received an invitation doesn't mean it's correct for you, doesn't mean it's true for you. But if it is, you're going to say yes, and then it's going to take you one or more steps towards like that thing that you had imagined that you are creating. Okay, that's how you get to act on your ideas. That's the process. I could talk about the projector process all day long, but there are so many videos. In fact, I'll put the projector playlist here afterwards. If you haven't binged through those and you like the way I teach, please work your way through those. And remember, there is 2 separate projector video courses in the video description. So just look for the beginners courses and then you can click through to those. If you haven't taken those, they're incredibly helpful, even if I do say so myself. But lots of other projectors have jumped in with reviews and said all sorts of kind things. So let's talk about reflectors. Your process of reflector is very, very different to everyone else's. There are some very key things. And if you're very new to human design as a reflector, I want to encourage you to binge your way through the reflector playlist. I'll make sure I put it here. Again, you can search for it on the channel. Starting with what is a reflector. A lot of people don't understand reflectors very well, so it can get really confusing for you guys. One of the very first things you need to know, actually, I think there's 3 things I want to tell you at this point in terms of acting on your ideas. 1, you need to get really, really good at waiting long enough that you can get a feel for, with any really big idea, get a feel for what do I feel like as I move through a whole moon cycle? Because you have a fairly predictable cycle every lunar cycle. and you go through different phases and versions of you. Even if you are out in the woods, in the forest, in the bush, surrounded by trees, right? And while some of the slower moving planets are going to move through different things, the moon goes through this predictable cycle, and you get to journey through all 64 gates, and you get to feel like, oh, this is what I feel like. Oh, I'm up to this point in my cycle. Oh, I'm up to this point in my cycle. And it can be really grounding for you if you can get a sense of this rhythm for yourself. Now, you can act on tiny ideas, but when it comes to something really big, plugging into the moon this way and getting to know yourself this way can be incredibly liberating. So that's number one. Giving yourself unpressured time to journey with the moon, but also the sun and the earth, and like plugged into the cosmos. Okay. Number two is making sure that you are surrounded by people who love you. Because if you are not surrounded by the right community, the right people, the right family members, they're going to push you to try and keep up with everyone else. They're going to try and push you to make quick decisions. And I'm forever trying to make more space for my reflectors. In fact, the very first reflector client I served like 10 years ago, she showed up for a discovery call back when I used to do that. And we talked through, she'd already worked out that she liked my way of operating. And we talked through what it would look like. And we talked through what she would need. And then I said, okay, now go away for a month and just check if it's correct for you. And I said, because the coaching starts now. The coaching starts with me encouraging you to slowly check in and make sure that even coaching with me is correct, because we don't want you to make decisions with your mind. The way you plug into your body wisdom, and this is true for every human design type, we want you to plug into your body wisdom. What's correct for you energetically, physically, for the whole of your being, not just for your conditioned mind. And the way to do that correctly for a reflector is to have time and space to move at your own pace. And as one of my closest reflector friends reminds me, she's like, we can move fast. Sometimes we are so fast. But the biggest thing about reflectors is you guys are not consistent. And that is not bad. It's just a fact to be aware of. You guys are forever moving and changing. And that is what is so beautiful about you, is this kaleidoscope of different ways you can show up in the world. And the rest of us need to give you space, and you need to advocate for yourself. I need time and space. I will come back to you when I'm ready. And you take the time it needs until you have that internal sense, okay, I'm clear, let's go. Okay, now I said there were three things. Let me see if I can remember what the third one was. So we talked about journeying with the moon. We talked about being surrounded by people. I can't remember what the third one was. If I remember when I edit this video, I'll pop it in a comment, and then you can read it down there. But I have a sense that the third one was actually tied into this process. So acting on your ideas. Let me just check if I've said everything I want to say about the reflector at this point. We list on human design charts, it's very, very common for reflectors to have the strategy of wait a lunar cycle and then an inner authority of none. That's really not helpful. And I think that I have done other videos on this before, but if I haven't, I certainly talk about in depth in the reflector beginners course. Making sure that you are giving yourself time to be plugged in to the rest of the cosmos, and that you are with people who allow you to take your sweet ass time because you need to. And the other thing is just like making sure that you're moving your body so that in that process of being plugged into people, you can unplug and reconnect with Source, Mama Earth, Father Sun, etc. The thing to know as a reflector, or if you're serving reflectors, is that you might gain clarity in less than a month, but you need to check in for you. There could be any number of things. Here's the other thing I wanted to say. I found it. Okay. So it is really helpful as a reflector to have an idea of what the process looks for the other human design types, because you are forever reflecting the other. And as the planets transit through different human design gates, you will have an experience of like, oh, today I feel like a very speedy manifesting generator, because if I overlay the transits on my chart, geez, now I move really quickly. So it's essential that you have an idea of what might be pushing you to act a particular way, and for you to know what's yours. Is this mine? Is this mine for me to do? What's me and what's the other? Yeah, that's my main point 3 for the reflector. What's me and what's the other? Because there are so many reflectors who are lost in their process of thinking, of being identified with someone else, of thinking that they are, that what they can feel in their body must be theirs. And so often, babe, it's not going to be. Okay, so often it's not going to be. So getting really, really clear on what's mine and what's the other person, so then you can take really aligned action for you. Now, if you've journeyed through all of those, thank you. That's wonderful. You are welcome to ask me questions below any of these YouTube videos. Remember to click the links in the video descriptions if you want more like next action steps. The beautiful thing, you are welcome to like binge your way through this channel. And I often have clients who will show up and on sessions and then tell me that they feel like they already know me because they've spent so long binging their way through the content. And that's great. The benefit of the video courses is that they're structured and they're a very good use of your time. So you can have structured information that you can then work through on a specific topic. So if you're a generator, you can be like, great, I can ignore all of the content about everyone else. I don't have to go digging through the channel. I can just work my way systematically through the generator course for beginners. And again, that link is in there. The other thing to know is that if you have the freedom with your time, so you don't have like tiny munchkins running around in the house, or you're in a time zone that allows you to get into my coaching calendar, the benefit of a one-on-one session is that we can ignore everything else in the entire universe that does not affect you and does not directly correlate to your chart. And we can just look at your chart and we can zoom in really specifically on much more detail, gates and channels and your definition and your openness and your conditioning and how that all plays in together for you. So again, that ends up being a really good use of your time if it's a match for your for the other parts of your life. Yeah. So that's how that's a benefit. Otherwise, continue to work your way through the channel. And if you have specific questions that you know that I could probably answer in a video format like this, you are welcome to ask it below any of these videos. As long as I don't need to see your human design chart, because obviously that is reserved for coaching sessions, then you are welcome to ask it in a question here.